Foodscaping Utah One Bed Veg update. Today's June 30th, and this is when the multi-cropping gets exciting. We're going to really start harvesting now. We've got carrots, we're going to harvest an onion, some beets, a bunch of carrots, and then we're going to start sowing for the fall now as the space starts opening up. So I think we already have given some tips on carrots, but if you can get in here, Holly, real quick. You can see right here, when they're getting ready to harvest, you can see they start to swell up right here, and then you can just pull them out. And you know, you could pull this whole row at once if you want, but you can leave them in longer and let some of the smaller ones grow a little more. So especially when they're crowded in here, I'll just grab the biggest one out of the middle. See how there's three here? I'll grab the biggest one out of the middle, hopefully. Both of these might come out together, and that would be fine too, of course. There we go. That's a good one. And that one can stay a little bit longer if you want. Same thing on the back here. Let's pull a couple of those real quick, especially where they're thick, where there's a lot of them. Oh, that one forked a little bit. Let's see, maybe pick another one here. This looks like a big one. You can kind of look for the biggest ones first if you want to. That's a good carrot. Okay, same thing with the beets. While you're there, Holly, you can get that shot too. Pretty good, maybe. So I'm going to take this beet, since it's a really big one, and this one out, and then that'll give a little bit more space for these that haven't developed into roots yet. Okay, let's see, we can leave a couple of these, maybe twist this one out, and this one.
Are you going to leave some because you think they're going to get bigger, or what's the benefit of leaving some of them in?
Well, yeah, I think this one will grow a little bit more, especially now that it has access to more water and more soil. And then also, they might not grow much more, but that just kind of preserves the harvest longer also. But, you know, this is a lot of beets to eat all at once, so we like to kind of stretch them out a little bit. But pretty soon, in the next couple weeks, the plan will be to pull all the beets and all of these carrots to start making room for the next crop. So that's what we're going to start planting now. Let's get an onion real quick too, so you can see that first. So these onions really need about 2 more weeks, but so we can have an onion for dinner tonight. We'll take this biggest one out now. And then that's the same thing where if you twist that out, those ones will get bigger now, and they have another couple weeks at least to grow bigger. So in our multi-cropping plan, if you remember, if you've been following along, in the front here, we already had a whole crop of lettuce. Okay, so then now we're going to sow carrots right where that is, and then here we had spinach. You can see this is where the spinach was. And then we cut out all the spinach, so the roots are still in there. But we're going to sow bush beans here. And this you could even call a relay crop, with the idea that we're going to sow it now, knowing that in the next couple weeks, or probably only about a week, the carrots will come out. But as you see here, they'll grow on for another week, and the leaves, the greenery of the carrots will shade where the bush bean seeds are, because the major challenge about sowing seed now in the heat is it's hot and dry, so seeds don't want to germinate. So we've got 2 tactics there. One is we'll use the carrot leaves that are left here to shade the soil, and then here where we do the carrots, we can go ahead and do that. Where we sow the next crop of carrots, we are going to use these boards to shade the soil. So the other trick for getting the carrot seed to germinate, I've already done it, but if you can see here, I kind of have a little trench, right? I don't know how well you can see it, but it's an indent here. And then I've filled that with water several times to make sure it's moist underneath where the carrots are going to be. Okay. And then when we sow carrots, we try to do just a couple every inch or so. That's how I like to do them. And then we'll thin them later. I don't know how well you can see them, but you should get the idea. Okay. And then the finest you can get for soil or compost on top, you don't want to cover them very much. But that means that the soil is going to dry out really quickly if there's sun or wind, especially, that can dry out the soil. You can see this stuff's pretty dry. So we're going to have to water it some more. We got a thin layer on instead of sowing the whole row, just to give you an idea. What we'll do is we'll put this wood here, okay, and then that shades the bed, or shades the row, I should say. We'll end up having it like this. So that'll shade the whole row, but the trick about that is carrots usually take, in this kind of weather where it's really warm, they might only take 4 days to germinate. It says on the package 6 to 21, so expect 6 days, but I would, after about 3 days, come out and start checking every day, because as soon as the carrots germinate, you need to get even the very first one, you need to get the boards off of there, so they don't get really leggy, because they'll struggle to get the light, and if they get leggy, they're not going to grow well. So that's the biggest tip for carrots. If you have other ideas, I've heard of lots of different ideas to get carrot to germinate in the summer. Because the cool thing about growing them now is they're going to mature as the weather starts getting cooler, and then especially later in the fall when we get closer to freezing weather, the carrots will sweeten up a lot. If you have other ideas on how to get carrots to germinate, I've heard of people putting carpet on top, all kinds of things to help with soil moisture. Here real quick on the beans, that'll be the last thing we do. Is what we're going to do with these beans is sow right here, and this is only about 3 inches from these carrots, but remember they're going to come out, and the beans we're going to do one every 3 inches or so. And the nice thing about them, they're a lot easier to germinate in this kind of weather. You want to go down at least like an inch, and then I actually got 3 different colors of beans. It's totally fine if you only have one, of course. If you only have one bed, you probably don't need 3 packets, but this is a green variety, a burgundy variety, and this one actually grows to a yellow bean, which is kind of fun. But we do those about 3 inches apart, okay? And then, like I said, this row of carrots will kind of shade that as those come up. So that's a relay crop where the timing should be that as soon as those come up, and that might happen in 5 days, 5 to 7 days, then we need to really start pulling the carrots out to get the light to them. But we know these are maturing and they don't need much more time. So that's our multi-cropping video. A couple other things real quick. We're starting to be able to harvest jalapenos, and if you've never harvested peppers, all you do is just pull the, you're not gonna be able to see that, are you? No. Here, let me turn it this way a little.
There we go.
All you do is pull up and it comes right off. Okay, let's do another one.
I was too low.
How about this one? Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay, and then you just pull up and the stem comes right off. And you can see there's tomato ripening. We pulled the first one yesterday. We've got basil. We're gonna make a little bit of pesto. And instead of doing another video on multi-cropping, the next step is when the onions come out, in between there'll be another row of beans and one more row of carrots mixed in there. So if you haven't been following the One Bed Veg video, check out the website. It's a web page on our website, foodscapingutah.org, and it's called One Bed Veg. And it's got the details of where the spacing is and how these are growing kind of in the gaps and will come up. So in about 2 weeks, we'll probably do that, but we want to make sure the onions are maturing before we sow the next relay crop. But it's going to be another beans and another row of carrots then. So thanks for watching Foodscaping Utah, and grow your own.